welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at gods5minutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. Paul wrote to Titus in chapter 2, verse 11 of his letter to that young minister, "The grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world." These words are the apostle's statement of the ultimate aim of the great plan of salvation, first foreshadowed in Moses' law, and then brought to its fullness in the ministry of Jesus Christ, with all the powers and gifts he came to bestow on mankind. Put another way, the grace of God that brings salvation came in order that we may deny ungodliness and worldly lust, thus living soberly, righteously, and godly lives. Paul taught that the life and death of Jesus were the most stupendous of all miracles, that his ministry was nothing less than God himself taking on a human body, experiencing the same passions and inconveniences of hunger, weariness, and so forth as we do. He believed that the Lord's so coming had made available a continual gift of an actual divine life of those who trusted him. And what was the purpose of the extremely valuable gift? Simply this, that people in this world should live good lives. Think what this says of how dear we must be to God and of the importance he places on conduct and character. And yet, in calling for proper moral behavior, Paul is calling for nothing more than the conscience and reason of people everywhere endorse, soberly, righteously, godly. Well, that's the sort of life every honest person must admit to be the kind of life he ought to live. Being sober is a duty we all owe ourselves. It means to strip away the pretensions of self-deception, denial, with which it is easy to make ourselves appear to ourselves what we are really not. It means to stand on the scales of life without lifting yourself on the countertop before you. To be righteous is the debt we owe our fellow human beings on planet Earth. It means to be just and fair. It means to pay your taxes so somebody else doesn't have to carry your share of maintaining the interstate. It means to not run off with someone else's spouse. To be godly, it's a debt we all owe to God. Perhaps part of the meaning of that term is self-control. Every living person carries within desires, inclinations, appetites. Those consider nothing but their own passion. We're not animals. Along with the capacity to feel temptation, God has given each of us a will, and only we ourselves can ever surrender it. Just because you feel artistic today does not give you the right to go spray paint graffiti on your neighbor's new car. Just because someone feels like molesting a 13-year-old child doesn't give them the right to do it. Not now, because rather the passions that move people do not live soberly, righteously, and godly are very strong. Obeying Paul's admonition can be hard. People don't live sinful lives only because they don't know better. They do it because something in their flesh cries out for it. This is the eternal paradox of the human race. To fail to live soberly, righteously, and godly in this life is to live to be contemptible, shabby, little better than swine. But to rise above the passions of the flesh requires Herculean effort most people rather simply will not make. How then can any humans live as Paul described? The answer is in the first part of the verse, the grace of God. Its heavenly fragrance is available to every individual person. For each of us have needs that are unique, but we are heirs to a unique salvation. Each person's experience with the Lord crafted to his or own particular situation. The great secret of salvation is that when we give ourselves to the Lord and experience a new birth described in Nicodemus, he provides something that lifts us above ourselves. The Christian will find every morning, if he begins his day with a prayer seeking God's grace sufficient for the day, there's power flowing in his soul from heaven that amounts to taking the light yoke of the Savior while he soothes the troubled need. Have you talked to him today?
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at godsfive minutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.